Hello and welcome to The Deep Dive. I'm genuinely excited for our exploration today. We're looking into a book that has truly reshaped how many of us think about our finances. Morgan Housel's acclaimed work, The Psychology of Money, Our Mission, to take a deep, insightful look at his, timeless wisdom.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book.
Exactly. Instead of just complex market theories, what if the real secret to financial success lies in understanding ourselves? Our own behavior.
Right.
That's the fascinating journey we're embarking on today. And hey, you can catch this deep dive along with many others on the Bibliophile Hub YouTube channel. That's for our English-speaking USA audience.
Indeed. And Housel's book isn't just like another financial guide. It's really a revelation. For far too long, the world of finance has been, dominated by technical charts, economic models, a purely quantitative approach, numbers. But what Housel's masterfully articulates is that our financial decisions are overwhelmingly influenced by psychological factors. Our inherent biases, deeply rooted emotions, even the unique personal histories we carry. These elements are often way more potent, yet consistently overlooked than any spreadsheet formula.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and this perspective really helps us grasp why individuals, even if they have similar technical knowledge, can achieve wildly different financial outcomes. It highlights the profound, intricate, and honestly, often messy human element at the heart of all money matters.
It's such a powerful shift in perspective, moving from just pure numbers to the nuances of human experience. And Housel kicks off with an idea that I found incredibly liberating, actually.
Which one is that?
He suggests that when it comes to money, no one's crazy, even if their choices seem, utterly irrational to us. Can you elaborate on that? What does it truly mean for understanding how others handle their money?
Yes, absolutely foundational, yeah. And it immediately sets the tone for the entire book. Housel's core argument here is beautifully captured in his observation. Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.0000001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works.
Wow, 80%, that's huge.
Think about that for a moment, right? What this means is that our individual financial lenses, our deeply held beliefs about how money operates, they aren't based on universal truths or, objective market conditions alone.
Right.
Instead, they are forged in the crucible of our unique life experiences, our upbringing, the economic environments we navigated, even the generational stories passed down to us. It makes perfect sense when you consider no two people have the exact same financial journey.
Okay, yeah. Can you give an example?
Sure. To put this into a relatable context, imagine two friends, let's call them Alex and Ben. Both smart, both driven. Alex grew up during a severe financial crisis. Maybe his parents lost their jobs or their family home. He witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of economic uncertainty, the fragility of financial security. So, as a result, Alex, now an adult, keeps a substantial 50% of his savings in cash. He values liquidity and security above all else.
60%.
Yeah. His rationale is simple. Cash offers a buffer, a tangible safety net against the kind of catastrophic collapse he experienced in his formative years. Now, Ben, on the other hand, he's had a very different experience.
Okay.
He's only known prolonged periods of economic booms where the stock market seemed to just climb endlessly and traditional savings earned, next to nothing.
Or the good times.
Exactly. So, confident in the market's upward trajectory, Ben invests 90% of his savings in stocks, aggressively seeking higher returns. What seems like overly cautious, maybe even irrational behavior to Ben is, from Alex's perspective, a perfectly logical and rational strategy. It's deeply rooted in his past traumas and fears. Their mental models of money are entirely different because their histories are different.
That makes so much sense. One person's crazy is another person's perfectly reasonable.
Precisely. And this phenomenon isn't just anecdotal. It's deeply ingrained in economic behavior. Studies confirm this. Individuals who live through high inflation earlier in life, they tend to invest less in bonds later on. They see them as, eroding purchasing power.
Right.
Conversely, those who came of age during strong bull markets, they're more inclined to invest heavily in equities, associating stocks with reliable wealth creation.
Interesting.
Housel also points to striking historical examples. John F. Kennedy, despite being president during a time that remembered the Great Depression, openly admitted he had no firsthand experience of its hardship.
Really?
Yeah, his wealthy family was largely insulated. They even grew their fortune during that period. His understanding of economic suffering was intellectual, not, felt.
That's a big difference.
Huge. And consider the vastly different realities of unemployment rates. In 2009, during the Great Recession, the unemployment rate for African American males aged 16-19 without a high school diploma, it soared to a staggering 49%.
29. That's almost half.
Almost half. Now contrast that with just 4% for Caucasian females over 45 with a college degree. These aren't just statistics. These are profoundly divergent life experiences that shape vastly different outlooks on work, opportunity, financial risk.
Absolutely.
Even more starkly, Housel cites the perspective of a Chinese factory worker who might view what outsiders label a sweatshop as a significant life-improving step up from even more desperate alternatives, like prostitution.
Wow.
Now, this isn't to normalize harsh conditions, obviously, but to highlight how opportunities, or the lack thereof, fundamentally alter our perception of value, risk, and economic choice.
That truly highlights how personal and subjective our financial realities are. So, what's the actionable insight for us here? Are you listening?
Well, I think
It seems to be about recognizing that your financial mental model is intensely personal, right? And so is everyone else's.
exactly.
This understanding should help us approach what might otherwise seem like crazy decisions with more empathy, maybe, less judgment.
Definitely less judgment. Which brings to mind one of the most common behaviors people often call irrational: buying lottery tickets.
Ah, yes, the lottery.
A lottery ticket example perfectly encapsulates this principle of no one's crazy. In the US, it's a well-documented fact. The lowest income households, those earning under, say, $10,000 annually, spend an average of $412 per year on lottery tickets.
$400, okay.
What's even more striking is that these are often the same individuals who report being unable to cover a mere $400 emergency expense without borrowing money.
Oof, that seems illogical.
As someone with a higher income and more financial stability, it appears profoundly illogical.
Right.
Why gamble away money that could form a critical safety net on odds that are infinitesimally small?
Right.
But Housel asks us to look deeper. From the perspective of someone living paycheck to paycheck, maybe facing systemic barriers to wealth accumulation, with limited traditional avenues for financial improvement. That lottery ticket. It isn't just a statistical gamble.
What is it then?
It represents an appealing fiction, maybe. A slim but tangible hope for a drastically better life. A dream of escape that, for many, feels like the only viable path to a significant financial change.
So is buying hope.
It provides a sense of control, maybe a glimmer of a different future where otherwise there might feel like none. It's a purchase of hope, not just a ticket.
That reframes it completely.
And if we broaden this lens to modern finance as a whole, it's even more complex. Consider how many of today's common financial products, 401k,
Right, the retirement plans?
Roth IRAs, those individual retirement accounts, simple, diversified index funds, they're actually quite new in the grand scheme of things.
That's true. When did they come about?
The 401k was only introduced in 1978. The Roth IRA wasn't born until 1998.
Wow, so relatively recent.
It's very recent. This means that most people navigating these financial instruments today are, in a very real sense, newbies. We lack the generations of accumulated experience, shared wisdom, or even widespread cultural norms that older forms of wealth management might have had.
So you're all kind of figuring it out as we go.
We are, to a significant degree, winging it, making our personal psychological biases and historical experiences even more influential.
It's a crucial point. We're often making these big financial decisions without a collective playbook. So understanding our past influences, our psychological lens, that's critical. But that leads us to the next profound insight, right? How do we account for the sheer unpredictability of life? What about the forces entirely beyond our control that often dictate financial outcomes?
That's exactly where Housel takes us next. And it's a vital counterpoint to the idea that, effort alone determines success.
No.
His core insight is that luck and risk are like doppelgangers. Two inextricably linked forces that profoundly guide outcomes because the world is inherently too complex, too unpredictable for 100% of our actions to dictate 100% of our results.
Doppelgangers.
I like that. Yeah. In a world with billions of actors and infinite variables, the accidental impact of external events can, surprisingly often, be more consequential than even our most conscious, well-planned choices.
Right.
The very thin line between what hindsight labels inspiringly bold and foolish foolishly reckless is often drawn by the capricious hand of luck or risk.
Can you give an example of that?
A truly poignant example of this delicate balance comes from the early days of Bill Gates and his best friend, Kent Evans.
Okay, Gates and Evans.
Gates himself often speaks of the 1 in a million luck he experienced by attending Lakeside School in the 1970s. This wasn't just any school, it was one of the very few in the entire world at that time that had a computer and an independent study program.
Wow. 1 in a million luck is right.
Absolutely. This provided Gates and Paul Allen an unparalleled, priceless head start. It let them experiment, obsess over computers for thousands of hours outside of regular classes, late into the night, weekends.
That's huge.
Gates explicitly stated if there had been no Lakeside, there would have been no Microsoft. His extraordinary success wasn't solely about his brilliance. It was profoundly shaped by this unique stroke of fortune.
But there's a flip side, right? The risk part.
Exactly. Simultaneously, his best friend, Kent Evans, was, by Gates's own admission, the best student. Equally skilled, driven, passionate about technology. But Evans experienced 1 in a million risk.
Oh no, what happened?
He tragically died in a mountaineering accident before graduating high school.
Oh wow, that's terrible.
It cut short his immense potential, preventing him from ever achieving what he might have. So here we have 2 equally capable individuals, born at the same time, sharing a similar passion. Yet the same powerful, unpredictable forces of luck and risk worked in diametrically opposite directions for them. It's a powerful, sobering reminder that the world is not always fair, nor is it entirely within our control.
That's a heavy example. It really drives the point home.
And this pattern appears throughout history, even in stories of legendary figures. Consider Cornelius Vanderbilt.
The railroad tycoon.
Right. His immense success often involved flagrantly bending or breaking laws. His audacious behavior could just as easily have led to his downfall, imprisonment.
But it didn't.
Instead, it cemented his legendary status. The difference often was context, timing, and a dose of pure luck. Even Benjamin Graham,
The father of value investing.
the man himself, he confessed that a significant portion of his personal investing success could be attributed to a single stock, GIO.
Really?
Yeah, which ironically violated his own strict rules for diversification. It highlights that individual triumphs often contain elements of unrepeatable luck, making them really hard to replicate just through strategy alone.
So you can't just copy the greats and expect the same result.
Not exactly. This is why Housel stresses that it's crucial to focus less on specific individuals and case studies and more on broad patterns. We should be careful when assuming that 100% of outcomes can be attributed to effort and decisions.
Right.
To ignore the role of luck can lead to dangerous arrogance when things go right, thinking we're infallible, and to undue, corrosive self-blame when things inevitably go wrong.
That's such an important call for humility, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the core takeaway for you listening means recognizing that our successes aren't solely ours, and our failures aren't always entirely our fault.
Absolutely.
We need to actively cultivate humility when things are going well, acknowledge fortune's role, and extend forgiveness and compassion when they go wrong. Understanding life's complexities often play a hand. It's never as good or as bad as it looks.
Well said.
And understanding the power of risk fundamentally helps us plan not just for growth, but for survival. Because the most ruinous risks are precisely the ones that knock you out of the game entirely.
That survival aspect is key.
Acknowledging these external forces is vital, but then we have to grapple with our internal landscape, right? How do we manage that relentless human drive that often pushes us beyond what's truly beneficial? This constant striving for more.
Yes. This is a deep psychological trap that Housel explores brilliantly. The moving goalposts of happiness.
Moving goalposts, okay.
The core idea he puts forth is profoundly simple, yet so elusive. Life isn't any fun without a sense of enough. Happiness, at its essence, is often just a function of results minus expectations.
Results minus expectations. Simple formula.
Simple formula and hard to implement. The problem arises when we develop an insatiable appetite for more, an internal dynamic where our expectations continuously rise in lockstep with our achievements.
So you achieve something and immediately want the next thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates this perpetual treadmill, diminishing the logic in striving for more because true satisfaction remains perpetually elusive. It's a dangerous cycle that, left unchecked, often leads to profound regret and unhappiness.
So how do you stop the goalposts from moving?
Housel calls the hardest financial skill getting the goalpost to stop moving. If your expectations continuously escalate with every achievement, you effectively ensure you'll never feel truly satisfied. regardless of how much you accumulate.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. And this relentless cycle is intensely fueled by social comparison. Think of a rookie baseball player earning $500,000 a year.
Sounds pretty good to me.
By any objective measure, they are wealthy, living a life most people can only dream of. Yet if they share a locker room with a superstar like Mike Trout, who commands a, $430 million contract?
Okay, yeah, big difference.
That rookie can easily feel broke or inadequate by comparison. And here's the kicker. Even Trout's immense wealth is a mere fraction of Jeff Bezos's, whose net worth can increase more in a single hour than Trout makes in an entire year.
Wow, that's a perspective.
Housel highlights that the ceiling of social comparison is so high that virtually no one will ever hit it. It's an unwinnable battle. The only true way to win this game is often to not fight to begin with, to accept that you might have enough, even if it's less than those around you.
Just opt out of the comparison game.
Pretty much. It's a conscious choice. And the devastating consequences of this insatiable desire for more are tragically illustrated by some well-known financial figures. Bernie Madoff, for instance.
Infamous Ponzi scheme.
Right. But before that, he actually ran a legitimate, hugely successful market-making business. Earned him a phenomenal $25-50 million per year. Legitimately.
So he's already incredibly rich.
Incredibly rich, by any standard. Yet his insatiable desire for even more wealth, more prestige, more power, drove him to commit one of the largest financial frauds in history, destroyed countless lives, obliterated his own legacy.
Just wasn't enough.
Never enough. Similarly, Rajat Gupta, former billionaire, respected head of McKinsey & Company, ultimately went to prison for insider trading.
Another big name.
Many believe this crime was fueled by a kind of billionaire envy, comparing himself to peers with even greater fortunes, feeling compelled to keep up, risking everything he had built.
Risking everything for what exactly? More.
Exactly. These stories underscore a profoundly important lesson. There's no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need.
That's a quote to remember.
And even more powerfully, Housel reminds us that many things are never worth risking, no matter the potential gain. This isn't just about money, it's your reputation, your freedom, your relationships, your fundamental peace of mind.
Right, the things money can't buy.
True financial well-being comes not from endless accumulation, but from defining your enough and having the wisdom and discipline to stick to it. It's about a conscious choice to disengage from the comparison game.
That's a powerful and frankly liberating message. Identifying your enough and recognizing that chasing more can actually lead to less satisfaction. So if constantly chasing more is a losing battle, then perhaps the true secret lies not in the sheer amount of money, but in how we allow what we have to grow over time. Which brings us to the often underestimated power of compounding.
You've perfectly set the stage for one of the most powerful yet frequently misunderstood forces in finance. The core idea of compounding is almost magical in its simplicity. If something compounds, if a little growth serves as the fuel for future growth, a small starting base can lead to results so extraordinary they seem to defy logic.
It's like that snowball rolling down a hill analogy.
Exactly! Our human brains are naturally wired for linear thinking, which is precisely why exponential growth, the heart of compounding, is so easily overlooked and underestimated. It starts small, but the longer it rolls, the faster and larger it grows, with each additional layer becoming fuel for even more accumulation.
And the classic example is?
The quintessential illustration of compounding's immense power is, of course, the story of Warren Buffett.
The Oracle of Omaha.
A staggering $81.5 billion of his colossal $84.5 billion net worth actually accumulated after his 65th birthday.
$81.5 billion after 65. That's insane.
It is. This isn't just a testament to his investing skill, which is undeniable, but more profoundly, it's a testament to his secret weapon, time.
Time, not just skill.
Housel explicitly states that Buffett's skill is investing, but his secret is time. To truly grasp the magnitude of this, consider a hypothetical. If Buffett, despite his extraordinary 22% annual return...
That's your amazing return.
Phenomenal. But if he had started investing at age 30 with, say, $25,000, adjusted for inflation, and then, like most people, retired at age 60.
Okay.
His net worth today would be about $11.9 million.
Still a lot of money, but...
But it's a mind-boggling 99.9% less than his actual wealth.
Well, 99.9% less.
This stark comparison vividly demonstrates the almost absurd, immense power of longevity in allowing compounding to work its full transformative magic. It's not just about earning good returns, it's about giving those returns decades to multiply.
Decades make all the difference.
To further emphasize this, Housel contrasts Buffett with Jim Simons.
The quant guy. Renaissance Technologies.
That's the one. Brilliant mathematician, founded Renaissance Technologies, a hedge fund achieving an astonishing 66% annual returns, 3 times Buffett's average.
66%. How is that even possible?
It's incredible. Yet, due to Buffett's significantly longer investment horizon, an incredible 70 years compared to Simons' shorter period of active management, Buffett accumulated vastly greater absolute wealth.
So time beat even those insane returns.
In terms of absolute dollars, yes. This isn't to diminish Simons' incredible performance, but to highlight that in wealth accumulation, the duration over which returns can compound often trumps even spectacular rates of return over shorter periods.
So what's the lesson for us regular folks?
This leads us to a critical, actionable takeaway. If you want to do better as an investor, the single most powerful thing you can do is increase your time horizon.
Increase your time horizon.
Okay.
It's not about constantly chasing the highest, most volatile returns, which are often unsustainable one-off hits that can tempt you into risky, short-term speculation.
Right, chasing shiny objects.
Instead, it's about earning pretty good returns that you can stick with, and which can be repeated for the longest period of time. That's when compounding runs wild. Consistency, patience, the discipline to stay invested through the inevitable ups and downs, that's truly the secret sauce. It's about endurance in the financial marathon.
Endurance, I like that. The long game truly wins. Compounding is indeed magical, transforming modest efforts into immense wealth given enough time. But that magic also shines a light on a critical distinction you mentioned earlier. It might be relatively easy to accumulate money, but it's an entirely different and often harder challenge to keep it. This is a profound insight, and it's where many brilliant financial minds stumble, even after achieving great success. Housel's core idea is that getting money often requires taking risks, embracing optimism, putting yourself out there.
Right, the hustle.
But keeping money, staying wealthy, demands a nearly opposite, more cautious set of traits. Humility, a healthy, almost paranoid fear that your gains can be taken away just as fast.
Paranoia, really.
A healthy paranoia, yeah. Extreme frugality, a deep acceptance of luck's role in your initial success. It all boils down to cultivating a survival mentality.
Survival mentality.
As Housel succinctly puts it, good investing ultimately is not necessarily about making good decisions, it's about consistently not screwing up. If he had to summarize money success in a single word, he says it would be survival. It's about not getting wiped out.
Consistently not screwing up. Sounds simple, but probably isn't.
It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
The stark contrast between getting wealthy and staying wealthy is visibly brought to life by the astonishing stories of Ronald Read and Richard Fustone.
Okay, tell me about them.
Ronald Read was a humble janitor and gas station attendant from rural Vermont. High school graduate, lived a remarkably frugal life, never earned a high salary, consistently saved and invested in simple blue-chip stocks.
Okay, regular guy.
Totally regular guy. When he died at 92, through sheer patience and extreme frugality, his net worth was over $8 million, most of which he left to charity. He never took unnecessary risks, never tried to impress anyone.
$8 million.
Yeah.
As a janitor. That's incredible.
Incredible. Now, in stark contrast, Richard Fustone, Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive, MBA, retired in his 40s due to his impressive financial career.
Okay, the opposite end of the spectrum.
Exactly. Yet, he later went spectacularly bankrupt due to greed and reckless decisions, lost multiple homes, including a mansion with like a famous see-through covering on the indoor swimming pool.
Went bankrupt after all that success.
Yeah. The powerful lesson here, as Housel observes, is incredibly simple, yet often overlooked. Ronald Read was patient. Richard Fustone was greedy. That's all it took to eclipse the highest levels of formal education and financial training.
Wow. Patience versus greed.
It wasn't about intelligence or opportunity. It was about temperament and a survival mindset.
That's a humbling story. Are there other examples?
Oh, definitely. Other historical figures offer similar cautionary tales. Jesse Livermore, a legendary stock market operator from the early 20th century, brilliant at accumulating vast fortunes multiple times.
Made millions, lost millions.
Exactly. Make millions, lose it, make it again. However, he was notoriously terrible at retaining that wealth, ultimately lost everything for good, and tragically committed suicide. His genius in making money was unmatched, but his temperament for keeping it was fatally flawed.
Oh, sad.
Then there's Rick Gran, a third member of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger's inner circle during their early days. According to Buffett, while Rick was as intelligent as they were, he was in a hurry.
In a hurry. What does that mean?
This impatience led him to use margin loans, borrowing heavily against his investments. When the market suffered a nearly 70% downturn in 1973-74, he was wiped out, forced to sell his Berkshire Hathaway stock to Buffett at a bargain price. He didn't survive the downturn, and thus couldn't benefit from the long-term recovery. He got knocked out of the game.
Didn't survive. That's the key word again.
It is. The overarching message is that the ability to stick around for a long time without wiping out or being forced to give up is what makes the biggest difference in long-term financial success.
Right.
This underscores the critical importance of building in a room for error or margin of safety into your financial life.
Margin of safety. Ben Graham's idea, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about a cash buffer, though that's part of it. It comes in many forms. A frugal budget that allows for unforeseen expenses, flexible thinking about your career path, a loose timeline for achieving ambitious goals.
So flexibility is key.
These elements empower you to live happily with a range of outcomes because you are prepared for things not to go exactly according to your initial plan. It's about cultivating what Housel calls a barbelled personality.
A barbelled personality. What's that?
Being incredibly optimistic about the long-term future, but simultaneously deeply paranoid about all the potential short-term threats that could prevent you from getting there.
Optimistic, long-term, paranoid, short-term. I like that. So, if a survival mindset is key, it also means we need to adjust our perception of what wealth actually is.
Yeah.
What we see as rich isn't always true wealth.
This is one of the most counterintuitive yet profoundly important lessons Housel delivers. The core idea is that spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money.
Ooh, say that again.
Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. We are constantly bombarded with visible markers of what we perceive as wealth. Luxury cars, sprawling homes, designer clothes, exotic Instagram photos.
The highlight reel.
Exactly, but as Housel powerfully points out, wealth is what you don't see. This is because visible consumption is, by definition, the opposite of wealth accumulation.
How so? Explain that distinction between rich and wealthy.
Sure, Housel distinguishes them clearly. Rich is a current income. Someone driving a brand new $100,000 luxury car is almost certainly rich because they have the income to afford the substantial payments, insurance, maintenance.
Okay, they make good money.
Right. Rich people, by virtue of their spending, often go out of their way to make themselves known, making their affluence, or at least their high consumption, highly visible. Wealth, on the other hand, is hidden. It's income not spent.
Income not spent, okay.
Wealth represents financial assets that have not yet been converted into visible possessions. Its true value lies not in what it buys immediately, but in the options, flexibility, and growth it provides.
Options and flexibility.
It's money saved, invested, compounding, offering you control over your time, your future choices, the ability to purchase things later if and when you choose. Since we can't see people's bank accounts, investment portfolios, or their discipline in deferring gratification.
Right, it's invisible.
We tend to rely on outward appearances, which are often profoundly misleading. In fact, Housel suggests that modern capitalism makes helping people fake it until they make it a cherished industry, constantly encouraging us to spend to project an image.
Fake it till you make it. Or fake it till you're broke.
Exactly. A vivid illustration of this comes from the story of singer Rihanna. Despite her enormous earnings, she famously sued her financial advisor after declaring bankruptcy due to extravagant spending.
Rihanna went bankrupt. I didn't know that.
Well, she claims she did in the lawsuit. The advisor's simple, almost comical retort was, do you have to state the obvious? Spending money diminishes wealth.
Huh. Can't argue with that logic.
It highlights a fundamental, often overlooked truth. Visible spending, while appearing to signify wealth, is actually the exact opposite of wealth accumulation. It's the consumption of assets, not their growth. You might feel rich driving an expensive car, but you become wealthy by not buying it and instead investing that money.
So true wealth is quiet.
Because true wealth is unseen, it's incredibly hard to contextualize, imitate, or learn from. You can't observe someone's discipline in consistently saving their unspent income or the quiet compounding of their diversified portfolio.
Right, you only see the spending.
We're wired to learn by imitation, but the hidden nature of wealth makes it difficult to replicate. Therefore, Housel argues, the only way to be wealthy is to not spend the money that you do have. It's not just the only way to accumulate wealth, it's the very definition of wealth. It's a profound call to shift our focus from outward display to inward accumulation.
Less ego, more wealth. That's such a concise way to put it. So the core takeaway for you listening, cultivate less ego, more wealth. Saving money, at its heart, creates that crucial, empowering gap between your ego, the desire to impress others with visible consumption, and your income. It's a conscious choice to prioritize independence, options, and genuine financial freedom over external validation. Which leads us directly, doesn't it, to arguably the most powerful and controllable lever for financial success, your savings rate.
This is perhaps one of the most empowering and actionable insights from the entire book, because it puts the power squarely in your hands regardless of your starting point. Housel's core idea is that independence at any income level is driven by your savings rate.
Driven by savings rate, not income.
Exactly. You can absolutely build substantial wealth without ever having a sky-high income, but you have virtually no chance of building wealth without a consistently high savings rate. Saving isn't just one component, it is the most important raw material to create wealth. It's the foundation.
The raw material, I like that.
And the importance of saving extends far beyond just accumulating money for future purchases. It's true, profound value lies in the intangible benefits it provides, most notably independence and control over your time.
Control over time, that sounds valuable.
Incredibly valuable. Savings offer you crucial options and flexibility. The ability to wait for truly good career or investment opportunities instead of being forced into suboptimal choices. The freedom to take a job with lower pay, but maybe more purpose.
Right, or less stress.
Or the security to deal with unexpected medical emergencies, job losses, home repairs, without immediate financial distress. As Housel emphasizes, having more control over your time and options is becoming one of the most valuable currencies in the world.
The ultimate currency.
Furthermore, savings serves as a vital, all-purpose hedge against life's inevitable surprises. You don't necessarily need a specific reason to save for everything. You can and should save just for saving's sake, because life is full of unpredictable curveballs that savings can cushion. It's a universal safety net.
Save just because.
Okay. Sanjay Kathuria, another insightful finance creator, uses an excellent analogy of buckets of life to illustrate this.
Buckets of life, okay.
He emphasizes that the very first bucket you need to fill, without fail, is your emergency fund. Ideally, 3 to 6 months of essential expenses.
The emergency fund, critical.
Absolutely critical. He highlights a startling truth. A huge percentage of working professionals globally live paycheck to paycheck. Without an emergency fund, an unexpected job loss or health issue can be catastrophic, creating a spiraling debt trap. This first bucket provides a crucial 100 days or more of genuine security and peace of mind.
Fill that bucket first.
Only after that foundational bucket and a second bucket of adequate insurance for family protection are full should you confidently move to the third bucket. Goal-based investments for specific life aspirations like buying a car, a house, funding education.
Emergency, insurance, then goals. Makes sense.
There's also a powerful psychological principle at play here, the locus of control. Saving is an action directly within your control.
Right, you choose to do it.
You choose to do it, you see the results directly. This is unlike relying purely on external, often unpredictable investment returns or market movements. This direct agency fosters a profound sense of security, empowerment, self-efficacy.
You feel in charge.
Behavioral finance expert Dan Ariely did a fascinating study in Kenya with impoverished families that illustrates this beautifully. Giving them non-monetary coins to physically track their savings contributions was even more effective than monetary incentives.
Physical tracking, like putting coins in a jar.
Exactly. It made the act of saving visible, tangible, emotionally rewarding. It allowed them to feel their efforts accumulating. If some of the most impoverished people in the world can find ways to make saving tangible and empowering, so can you. Use budgeting apps, spending diaries, even physical jars to visualize your progress.
That's a powerful and liberating message. Your savings rate, something entirely within your control, is your greatest lever for financial independence. So, as we embark on these crucial saving and investment decisions, the question inevitably arises: how do we balance cold, hard logic with the messy, unpredictable reality of human nature?
This is a crucial distinction that Housel emphasizes, challenging the conventional wisdom of finance, which often assumes perfect rationality. His core idea is simple. Do not aim to be coldly rational when making financial decisions. Aim to just be pretty reasonable.
Reasonable over rational. Explain that.
Why the distinction? Because reasonable is far more realistic, more human, and significantly increases your chance of sticking with a plan over the long term, which, as we've discussed, is paramount for compounding and survival.
Right, sticking with it is key.
As Housel insightfully states, what's often overlooked in finance is that something can be technically true but contextually nonsense. A mathematically optimal plan that you cannot realistically follow is, well, useless.
Contextually nonsense, okay.
Financial decisions are rarely made in the sterile vacuum of a spreadsheet. They're made at the dinner table or in a company meeting, profoundly influenced by spouses, children, co-workers.
Real life stuff.
Yeah, and a natural human desire not to let down loved ones or be seen as failing. Investing has a social component that's often ignored when viewed through a strictly financial lens. Our emotions, our relationships, our inherent psychological makeup are not bugs to be eliminated. They are integral parts of who we are, and our financial plans must accommodate them.
So embrace the human element.
Exactly. Consider the incredible story of Harry Markowitz.
The Nobel laureate. Modern portfolio theory.
That's him. Famous for mathematical, rational optimization of investment portfolios. Yet Markowitz famously admitted that when it came to his own investment decisions, he split his personal portfolio 50-50 between bonds and equities.
50-50. Not very optimized.
He didn't do it for purely rational, mathematical optimization, but, as he put it, to minimize my future regret, avoiding the pain of missing out entirely on a market surge or a bond rally.
Minimizing regret. That sounds very human.
It was a profoundly reasonable decision for his psychological well-being, even if it wasn't strictly mathematically rational in the purest sense. Similarly, Jack Bogle.
Vanguard founder. Passive investing champion.
Right, built on pure rationality. But he still invested some of his own money in his son's active, high-fee hedge funds. This highlights Housel's point that there is no one right answer. There's only what works for you and your family. Personal context, human relationships, emotional comfort often outweigh pure logic.
What works for you?
And the danger of striving to be too rational is that it can lead to unsustainable strategies. Mathematically, extreme leverage borrowing heavily to invest might show huge long-term returns on paper in a perfectly efficient, predictable market.
Yeah, the spreadsheets look great.
But in reality, no normal person could watch 100% of their retirement wiped out in a market downturn and stick with such a plan. It's an absurdly unreasonable strategy for a human being.
You freak out.
Totally. Instead, Housel would point to someone like, let's call him Mark. Works a well-paying job but deeply values his free time over maximizing income. By consciously living below his means and saving aggressively, Mark builds a financial cushion. That allows him the flexibility to eventually work part-time, pursue his passions. This is a reasonable financial strategy, perfectly aligned with his personal values, and ultimately leads to far greater life satisfaction than relentlessly chasing more money would.
That sounds like a good life.
It beautifully embodies the psychological principle of self-determination theory, where financial independence provides the autonomy to make choices aligned with your deepest, most authentic values, leading to greater overall well-being.
That's a vital distinction. Finding a reasonable approach, one we can actually live with, sounds far more effective than chasing some theoretically rational ideal. And since our financial world is far from perfectly rational and often incredibly unpredictable,
Right.
it follows that we must actively prepare for the unexpected.
This is a critical lesson because, as Housel wisely puts it, the correct lesson to learn from surprises is that the world is surprising.
Simple but profound.
History can certainly calibrate our expectations by showing us how people have tended to go wrong, offering a rough guide of what general principles tend to work over time. But it is not in any way a map of the future.
History isn't a map.
Okay. The most impactful economic events of the future, the ones that will truly move the needle and shape our financial lives, are often things that history gives us little to no direct guidance about. They will be unprecedented.
The black swans.
Exactly. And their unprecedented nature means we won't be prepared for them, which is precisely what makes them so impactful and damaging. This is what Housel refers to as the historians as prophets fallacy, a dangerous over-reliance on past data as a precise guide to future conditions. It's fundamentally a failure of imagination.
Failure of imagination, that's powerful.
A powerful illustration is the Fukushima nuclear reactor. It was meticulously built to withstand the worst past historical earthquake on record in Japan.
Okay, they planned based on history.
Right. Yet in 2011, a catastrophic tsunami, far exceeding any previous historical record, struck the coast, leading to its devastating failure. This was a profound failure not just of engineering, but of imagination, a failure to conceive of something worse than what had already occurred.
They couldn't imagine worse than the worst they knew.
Precisely. Similarly, in the world of startups, companies often meticulously plan for known risks, but are undone by field mice problems, those unexpected, crazy things like a co-founder legal dispute, the sudden death of a key employee, a novel regulatory challenge.
The stuff you don't see coming.
These are the truly harmful events precisely because they fall outside our predictable models and plans.
So how do we plan for the unplannable?
This brings us back to Benjamin Graham's profound concept of a margin of safety, or room for error. Housel describes it as the only effective way to safely navigate a world that is governed by odds, not certainties.
Margin of safety again.
Graham's famous quote perfectly encapsulates its essence. The purpose of the margin of safety is to render the forecast unnecessary.
Render the forecast unnecessary. Love that.
It means we don't need to predict the exact future with impossible precision. We just need to be prepared for a wide range of possibilities and negative outcomes. It's a buffer, a cushion against our inevitable inability to predict the future.
So how does that look in practice?
There are practical applications everywhere. Warren Buffett, for instance, famously pledges to always run Berkshire Hathaway with more than ample cash. He keeps a significant cash pile, not just for investing opportunities, but specifically to avoid ever having to sacrifice a night's sleep for the chance of extra profits.
Sleeping well at night, that's a good goal.
That robust financial cushion acts as a vital buffer against unforeseen downturns, allows him to wait out bad times, seize opportunities when others are desperate, avoid making forced, suboptimal decisions. It's also about avoiding single points of failure.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Housel observes that a good rule of thumb is everything that can break will eventually break. The biggest single point of failure with money for most people: sole reliance on a paycheck to fund immediate spending needs, with no savings to create a gap between what you think your expenses are and what they might realistically be when life throws a curveball.
Right. The paycheck-to-paycheck trap.
Moreover, Housel advocates for saving without a specific purpose, just for saving's sake. Predicting what you'll use your savings for, he notes, assumes you live in a world where you know exactly what your future expenses will be, which no one does.
Yeah.
We must save for the things we can't possibly predict.
Save for the unknown unknowns.
Precisely.
The most important part of every plan is planning on your plan not going according to plan. That's a fantastic maxim to live by and a powerful call to embrace room for error. So the core takeaway for you listening: worship room for error.
Worship it.
A significant gap between what could happen and what you need to happen gives you endurance. And endurance, as we discussed with compounding, is what makes financial magic over time. But it's clear the world is unpredictable, and so are we.
Yes.
Our financial plans also need to account for the fact that we ourselves are constantly evolving, making long-term planning an even greater challenge.
This is a deeply human truth that profoundly impacts our financial journeys, often leading to regret if ignored. Housel's core idea is that long-term planning is harder than it seems because people's goals and desires change over time.
We change, our wants change.
Exactly. Psychologists have even coined a term for this: the end of history illusion.
The end of history illusion.
It means we are keenly aware of how much we've changed in the past, our tastes, aspirations, values, yet we consistently underestimate how much our personalities, desires, and goals are likely to change in the future.
So we think, this is me now, and I'll always be like this.
We tend to believe we've finally become who we're meant to be right now, and that our current desires will remain constant for decades. This is a powerful, yet often false assumption that can derail even the best-laid plans.
Can you give some examples?
This illusion manifests in countless relatable ways. Consider that, statistically, only about 27% of college graduates end up in jobs directly related to their major.
Only 27%. Wow.
Shows how career aspirations, fueled by youthful idealism or external pressures, can shift dramatically once real-world experience sets in. People regularly pay good money to remove tattoos they got as teenagers.
Yeah, I know a few of those.
Middle-aged adults rush to divorce people they rush to marry as young adults, realizing they're no longer compatible. We often find ourselves working hard to lose what we once worked hard to gain.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Housel shares a poignant example of a friend who tirelessly pursued his dream of becoming a doctor. Dedicated years to education, rigorous training. Yet, 15 years into his medical career, he found himself miserable.
Miserable after achieving his dream.
He loved the work itself, the intellectual challenge, helping patients. But the relentless stress, the demanding hours, the uncontrollable schedule had gradually eroded his spirit, significantly impacted his personal life. His past self simply couldn't foresee the profound needs and desires of his future self.
The future self had different priorities.
This understanding leads to a vital piece of actionable advice from Housel. We should avoid the extreme ends of financial planning.
Avoid the extremes. Like what?
Committing to a life of extreme frugality with a very low income forever, or conversely, choosing to work endless, grueling hours, relentlessly pursuing a high income. Both significantly increase the odds you'll one day find yourself at a point of profound regret.
Because your future self might hate that choice.
These extreme paths often fail to accommodate the inevitable shifts in our values, our energy levels, our desire for connection and leisure. The key, instead, is endurance, a sustainable path that allows for adaptability.
That's a crucial distinction. Build a life and financial plan that can adapt with us. So, the core takeaway for you listening: accept the reality of changing our minds and adapt, rather than clinging to past decisions or identities that no longer serve us.
Exactly. It requires flexibility and self-compassion.
So don't beat yourself up for changing your mind.
Exactly. The trick, Housel suggests, is to find balance. Instead of aiming for extremes, strive for a moderate approach. Moderate annual savings, ensuring you have enough buffer but still enjoy life, a reasonable amount of free time, no more than a moderate commute, at least moderate time with family.
Balance and moderation.
This kind of balanced, flexible approach significantly increases the odds of being able to stick with a plan over your entire life and avoid deep, gnawing regret. This flexibility allows you to adapt when your interests, values, life circumstances, or even your definition of enough inevitably change.
Adaptability is key.
As Housel advises, we should come to accept the reality of changing our minds and move on as soon as possible from past decisions that no longer align with who we are becoming. Loyalty to an 18-year-old's career choice, for instance, can lead to immense misery if that path no longer fits your evolving self at 40 or 50. Build a financial framework that supports your evolving self, not one that traps you.
Nothing worthwhile is free. That's a potent reminder, especially in finance where so many promise shortcuts or guaranteed high returns. This brings us to a crucial point Housel makes. Every valuable financial outcome comes with a hidden cost, and not all prices appear on labels.
This is a powerful, yet often overlooked truth about investing and wealth building. Housel's core idea is that the true currency for successful investing isn't just dollars and cents. Instead, it's a far more intangible emotional price.
Emotional price, like what?
Volatility, fear, doubt, uncertainty, and regret. These are the inherent fees you pay for market returns, and they are incredibly easy to overlook or dismiss until you're dealing with them in real time.
Right, when the market is crashing.
Exactly. When your portfolio is plummeting and your confidence is profoundly shaken.
So how should we think about these fees?
Housel makes a crucial distinction here. Thinking of market volatility as a fee rather than a fine is an important part of developing the kind of mindset that lets you stick around long enough for investing gains to work in your favor.
Fee versus fine. Explain that.
A fine implies you did something wrong, you made a mistake, and should be avoided at all costs. This mindset can lead investors to panic sell during downturns, essentially incurring the fine and then missing out on the recovery.
Okay.
A fee, however, is simply the cost of admission, the price you willingly pay for something valuable. If you view volatility, those uncomfortable dips and surges, as an inherent fee for the long-term returns the market offers, you're far more likely to accept it as a normal, necessary part of the journey towards compounding wealth, rather than a punishment that makes you want to quit the game.
Just the price you pay for potential returns.
Exactly. Consider the illustrative example of tactical mutual funds. These funds are designed with the explicit promise of capturing market returns with lower risk by actively switching between stocks and bonds.
Trying to time the market, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Trying to get the returns without paying the price of volatility. However, a Morningstar study found that most tactical funds actually underperformed simple buy and hold 60-40 portfolios.
Really? They did worse.
And ironically, had similar or even worse drawdowns during volatile periods. By attempting to avoid the natural fee of market fluctuations and human emotions, these investors often ended up paying double, missing out on long-term returns while still experiencing significant losses and the emotional toll.
Tried to avoid the fee, paid more in the end.
They tried to circumvent the price, and it cost them dearly. The illusion of getting something for free also played out at giants like General Electric under Jack Welch.
GE. How so?
Welch famously prioritized consistently beating Wall Street's quarterly expectations above all else, often through aggressive accounting maneuvers like pulling gains from future quarters into the current one.
Took in the books a bit.
It created an illusion of smooth, predictable, ever-increasing performance for investors, but it masked the true accumulating costs and risks. Years later, when the bill finally came due, it led to massive shareholder losses.
The hidden cost eventually surfaced.
Similarly, institutions like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae were caught underreporting current earnings to artificially spread gains into future periods, creating a false sense of stability and avoiding the price of acknowledging short-term fluctuations. These are all examples of trying to circumvent the natural, often emotional price of success, only to pay a much, much higher one down the line.
So there are no free lunches.
As Housel concludes, most things are harder in practice than they are in theory. We often fail to properly identify the real price of financial success, especially the intangible emotional costs, which then prevents us from being willing to pay it. Therefore, a crucial step is to define the cost of success and be ready to pay for it, because nothing worthwhile is free.
Define the cost. Be ready to pay it. That's such a profound reminder. What appears to be a shortcut often comes with a hidden and usually higher cost. And these hidden costs are further complicated by a fundamental truth.
Which is?
Not everyone in the financial world is playing by the same game or by the same rules.
This is a fundamental lesson that can save you from immense self-sabotage in your financial life. Housel's core idea is simple, yet often ignored. Beware taking financial cues from people playing a different game than you are.
Playing a different game, what does that mean?
The notion of a single, rational price for assets ignores the diverse realities that investors have vastly different goals, time horizons, risk tolerances, even legal constraints. A price that is perfectly rational for a day trader might be completely irrational, even disastrous, for a long-term retirement investor.
Right. Different goals, different strategies.
Consider the formation of financial bubbles. Bubbles, House argues, often form not from truly irrational long-term investing, but from people somewhat rationally moving toward short-term trading to capture momentum.
Short-term momentum chasing.
During the dot-com bubble of the early 2000s, there were record trading volumes. This indicates that a significant portion of investors were thinking in terms of days, weeks, or months, not 20 years. They were playing a short-term game, trying to ride the wave and get out before it crashed.
But their actions affected everyone else.
Exactly. Their actions, the rapidly rising stock prices, inadvertently influenced others, particularly long-term investors who misread the signals.
How so?
The vivid example of Cisco stock during the dot-com bubble perfectly illustrates this. Its stock rose an astonishing 300% in 1999 to $60 per share, valuing the company at an insane $600 billion by traditional metrics.
$600 billion for Cisco back then. Wow.
For a day trader, however, this price might have seemed perfectly reasonable because their plan was to buy and sell the stock before the end of the day, capitalizing on momentum, not fundamental value.
Okay, their game was different.
But long-term investors, seeing others eagerly buying at this rapidly increasing price, might have thought, maybe these other investors know something I don't, and bought in themselves. They were completely unaware they were being persuaded by someone playing a completely different short-term game with entirely different motivations.
They got caught up in the hype created by a different game.
This collision of fundamentally different strategies, where one player influences another without the second understanding the first's game, often leads to significant financial harm. People anchor their decisions to others' actions without understanding the underlying context or time horizon.
So, what's the takeaway?
Therefore, Housel concludes, few things matter more with money than understanding your own time horizon and not being persuaded by the actions and behaviors of people playing different games than you are. There is no single right answer, just the answer that works for you.
Know yourself, know your timeline.
Your financial strategy needs to be meticulously aligned with your specific goals, your unique time frame, your genuine risk tolerance, not someone else's. Mimicking someone else's strategy without understanding their game is like trying to win a chess match by playing tic-tac-toe.
That's incredibly powerful advice for filtering out the noise. So, the core takeaway for you listening, a highly effective practical step is to write down your own mission statement for your investments. Clearly define the specific game you're playing.
Yeah, that's really smart.
This intentional act helps you filter out noise and distractions from others' different goals, keeping you laser focused on what truly matters to your unique financial situation and aspirations. As we navigate these different games in the constant flow of information, we also need to be acutely aware of a powerful psychological bias, one that often shapes our outlook, sometimes against our best interests. The irresistible allure of pessimism.
Yes, the seduction of pessimism. This observation gets to the heart of why bad news often dominates our attention, especially in finance and economics.
Why is that? Why does bad news seem stickier?
Housel makes a crucial point. Pessimism sounds like someone trying to help you, while optimism, conversely, can sound naive or like a sales pitch.
Pessimism sounds smart, optimism sounds naive.
Exactly. The core idea is that while optimism is a belief that the odds of a good outcome are in your favor over time, even when there will be setbacks along the way, pessimism isn't just more common than optimism, it also sounds smarter. It's intellectually captivating and it's paid more attention. Optimism is often dismissed as being oblivious to risk or overly simplistic, while pessimism feels like a serious, intellectual, protective warning, even when it's unfounded.
So we're biased towards pessimism.
There are clear, deeply ingrained psychological and societal reasons why pessimism sells so well. One key factor. Money is ubiquitous, so something bad happening tends to affect everyone and captures everyone's attention.
Like a recession affects everyone.
Right. Unlike a hurricane that might affect only a specific region, the universal nature of money makes any threat to it universally compelling. Another crucial factor is that progress happens too slowly to notice, but setbacks happen too quickly to ignore.
Progress is slow, setbacks are fast.
This dynamic makes pessimistic narratives much easier to construct and far more immediately compelling, as bad events are often sudden, dramatic, and demand immediate attention. Optimistic narratives, conversely, require looking at a long stretch of history and patiently observing gradual development, which people tend to forget or overlook.
Got an example of pessimism grabbing headlines?
A prime, almost comically dramatic example occurred in December 2008, right at the height of the global financial crisis.
Okay, peak fear time.
The Wall Street Journal published a front-page article featuring a Russian professor, Igor Panarin, who fantastically predicted that the U.S. would break into 6 separate pieces by 2010.
6 pieces. Seriously?
Seriously. This apocalyptic, utterly fantastical prediction gained immediate widespread attention and a surprising degree of credibility, precisely because it resonated so powerfully with the prevailing fear, uncertainty, and sense of impending doom. People were looking for extreme explanations.
And optimism gets ignored.
Contrast that with a powerful counterexample. Imagine someone in 1945 amidst Japan's utter devastation after World War II.
Okay.
Imagine them predicting its immense economic growth over the next generation, its near doubling of life expectancy, its extraordinary market returns. They would have been summarily laughed out of the room, maybe advised to seek medical evaluation.
Yeah, sounds crazy optimistic back then.
Yet this incredibly optimistic future actually happened. The quiet, gradual, persistent force of human ingenuity and adaptability delivered an outcome far beyond the pessimistic predictions of the time.
Slow progress doesn't make headlines.
Further historical examples abound. The Wright brothers' first powered flight, an incredible feat, largely ignored for years. Its potential severely underestimated. Few believed in its long-term impact.
But a plane crash.
Conversely, a plane crash in 1908 garnered immediate, widespread, sensational attention. In public health, the incredible 70% decline in heart disease death rates in the U.S. since 1965, saving 500,000 lives annually, receives far less attention than sudden, dramatic losses like terrorism or plane crashes.
Because progress is slow and quiet.
Precisely. Setbacks are loud, instantaneous, emotionally jarring. Pessimism, therefore, offers a quick, emotionally resonant, and seemingly intelligent narrative.
That's a stark reminder of our bias towards the sensational. So the core takeaway for you listening, it's about consciously striving to be a serious possibilist, a term coined by Hans Rosling.
Serious possibilist, I like that.
Someone who believes in the long-term potential for good outcomes, despite inevitable setbacks, and who isn't swayed by the immediate, often louder voice of pessimism. It means recognizing this psychological bias towards negativity and actively choosing a more balanced, evidence-based, and ultimately more empowering perspective.
Well put.
Our susceptibility to these powerful, often negative stories is deeply rooted in our innate desire to make sense of and feel in control of what is often a complex and uncertain world. Which leads us to Housel's insight that at its heart, the economy and our financial decisions are often driven by the stories we tell ourselves, leading us to believe almost anything, especially when we crave control.
This insight truly underscores how profoundly human psychology and narrative influence our financial reality. Housel's core idea is that stories are, by far, the most powerful force in the economy.
Stories are the most powerful force, more than numbers.
Because every individual has an inherently incomplete view of the world, we simply cannot know all the facts or see the full picture. We form a complete narrative to fill in the gaps. And crucially, he observes, the more you want something to be true, the more likely you are to believe a story that overestimates the odds of it being true.
We believe what we want to believe.
These appealing fictions are incredibly powerful, especially when we are intelligent, desire clear-cut solutions, but simultaneously face a combination of limited control and high stakes. We are story-making creatures, and those stories profoundly shape our actions.
Can you give an economic example of that?
A truly powerful illustration of what Housel calls narrative damage comes from comparing the U.S. economy in 2007 versus 2009.
Before and after the crash.
Exactly. Physically, if you walk through New York City, it appeared remarkably similar. Buildings still standing, people still going to work. Yet economically, the difference was staggering. U.S. households were $16 trillion poorer, unemployment surged, the stock market plummeted by half.
16 trillion poorer. But the buildings are the same.
The only thing that truly changed, Housel argues, was the story we told ourselves. In 2007, there was a prevailing narrative of stability, growth, prudence, particularly regarding housing. By 2009, that narrative had collapsed, replaced by one of doubt, fear, impending doom.
The story changed.
When the story of endlessly rising home prices broke, it triggered a cascade of mortgage defaults, reduced lending, massive layoffs, a dramatic contraction in consumer spending. The economic damage was, in essence, narrative damage, the devastating consequences of a shattered collective story.
Wow. Narrative damage.
This phenomenon plays out in personal finance, too, driven by cognitive biases. Take Kevin, for example. Bright individual, eager to make quick wealth. He fell for a high-return, low-risk investment scheme, promising an unrealistic 20% annual return.
Sounds too good to be true.
It was. Despite its questionable nature, the clear warning signs, he believed it because it aligned perfectly with his desire for rapid wealth. This is a classic case of confirmation bias. His desire led him to actively seek out and readily believe information that confirmed his existing preconceptions, even if it was ultimately an appealing but dangerous fiction.
He saw what he wanted to see.
We also desperately cling to what Housel terms the illusion of control, because it is more persuasive than the reality of uncertainty.
We want to feel in control, even if we're not.
We inherently crave the world to be predictable and precise, like the laws of physics. Housel contrasts this with astrophysics. NASA's New Horizons spacecraft reached Pluto with astonishing 99.99998% accuracy over 9 years, a field of immense precision.
Okay, physics is predictable.
But business, economics, investing, they're inherently fields of uncertainty, overwhelmingly driven by complex human behavior, emotions, narratives that simply cannot be explained with clean, predictable formulas. We desperately want finance to be like astrophysics with guaranteed outcomes.
But it's not.
And so we cling to stories about outcomes being in our control, even when reality suggests otherwise.
So what's the defense against these powerful stories?
It's vital to always remember how incentives influence our own financial goals and outlooks. What we want to believe can profoundly shape what we do believe. And Housel reiterates that there is no greater force in finance than room for error. The higher the stakes, the wider that margin of safety should be. Our stories shape our decisions, which shape our financial realities. Awareness is key.
Understanding these deep human tendencies, narratives, biases is absolutely vital, and it helps us see that some of the most powerful financial levers are surprisingly within our direct control. So after diving into all these fascinating insights from the psychology of money, what are the truly actionable strategies and mindsets that you listening can adopt?
All right, let's get practical. This is why we bring all these powerful psychological insights into actionable strategies. First, and perhaps most impactful, invest in your skills.
Invest in yourself first.
Sanjay Kathuria, an insightful finance creator, emphasizes that the only thing which can really double your money overnight is your skills. He shares a powerful success story, an employee earning 18,000 rupees a month. This individual wisely invested in himself, took an AWS Amazon Web Services certification course, high-demand skill.
Okay.
Within 7 months, he was offered 85,000 rupees a month in the same company.
Whoa, from 18K to 85K. In months.
Sanjay rightly points out, there is no stock in the world, there is no crypto in the world, which can convert you from $18,000 a month to $85,000 a month in 6 months. The only thing which can do that is your own skill.
Your skills are your best investment.
Absolutely. Focus on acquiring high money-making skills. AI, data analytics, high-quality video editing, whatever fits your field. Commit to continuous learning. Your human capital is your greatest asset.
Okay, number 1, invest in skills. What's next?
Second, cultivate the invest and forget mindset, which Housel's principles definitely support. This is often called the nurse investor phenomenon.
Nurse investor. Why nurses?
Because a U.S. study found nurses, often due to demanding work schedules, frequently achieve maximum returns because they tend to invest and forget. They don't constantly monitor their portfolios, which prevents impulsive emotional decisions during market volatility.
So being too busy to trade helps.
In a way, yes. The strategy is simple. Define your financial goal, say 2 million rupees for a car in 6 years. Invest consistently towards them. And once the goal is hit, or close to it, take the money out.
Take it out, don't let it ride.
The critical lesson from the never enough principle, don't let greed push you beyond your defined target. Once you've achieved your goal, realize it, take your profits. This discipline ensures you actually enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Invest and forget until the goal is met. Okay, number 3.
Third is a counterintuitive yet profoundly powerful strategy. SIP on dip, systematic investment plan on dip.
SIP on dip. Sounds catchy.
When markets fall, most people panic and sell. But Sanjay Kathiria challenges this with simple logic. If your favorite brand of shoes goes on a 20% sale, do you rush to sell your existing pair? Or do you logically buy more because it's cheaper?
You buy more, obviously.
You buy. The same logic, he argues, should apply to stocks. He suggests a double-down strategy. If the market drops 1%, you invest a certain amount, X. If it drops 2%, you invest 2X. If 3%, you invest 3X.
So invest more when the market is down.
The precise percentages aren't as important as the underlying principle. Increasing your investment during market downturns, systematically adding capital when prices are lower, it's a disciplined, counterintuitive approach to leverage market corrections for long-term wealth. It embodies Buffett's be greedy when others are fearful.
Requires courage, though.
Requires patience, courage, and a long-term view that most short-term investors lack. But it's where significant wealth can be built.
Okay, SIP on dip. What's 4th?
Fourth, you must define and stick to your financial goalposts. This directly combats the never enough syndrome. Avoid financial procrastination, FOMO, regret driven by social comparison.
Stick to a plan.
Once you set a clear goal like accumulating 5 crores after 15 years, commit to it. Don't keep moving the goalpost further and further away, or as Sanjay warns, you'll never be happy. He shares his own experience regretting not buying Whirlpool shares again when they rose after he sold them.
Anchoring to past prices.
Right. He realized he was anchoring his decisions to past prices. The lesson is clear. Evaluate an asset's current value based on its merits and your goals, rather than regretting not buying it cheaper before. Focus on the present value and your plan, not past what-ifs.
Don't move the goalposts. Got it. Number 5.
Fifth, manage risk proportionately. While it's tempting to chase high returns, Housel's survival mindset emphasizes managing risks. Sanjay suggests starting your investment journey with lower risk options like broadly diversified index funds.
Start safe.
As your comfort and knowledge grow, you can then consider allocating to mid-cap funds, then small-cap funds, smaller companies, potentially faster growth but higher risk.
Gradually increase risk if comfortable.
If you're inclined to take on even more risk, say in crypto, allocate a small percentage, maybe 10%, to established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Things with proven use cases, significant market cap, not highly speculative meme coins.
Okay, stick to the majors mostly.
For even riskier, newer coins, consider allocating only 1-3% if you're comfortable losing it. The key is always to manage proportions. Don't put all your sweets on the table by going all in on high-risk assets. Balance is crucial for a healthy, surviving portfolio.
Manage proportions. Don't bet the farm. Okay, last one.
And finally, number 6, always cultivate humility. This loops back to the lessons of luck and risk and the getting versus keeping wealthy distinction. Remember Bill Gates' quote, "Success is a lousy teacher. It makes smart people think they can't lose."
Success makes you think you can't lose. Dangerous.
Stay humble when things are going well. Acknowledge fortune's role. Be understanding and compassionate when they don't, recognizing external factors. This constant humility reinforces the crucial survival mindset and allows you to learn from both triumphs and setbacks without letting ego or despair derail your long-term plan.
That's a truly comprehensive set of practical takeaways, grounded in these profound psychological insights. We've journeyed through the intricate world of financial psychology today, uncovering layers of human behavior and market dynamics. Let's quickly recap what we hope you listening will take away from this deep dive.
Okay, quick summary. Firstly, embrace your unique financial lens. Understand your decisions are shaped by your experiences, and appreciate others' seemingly irrational choices are rational to them. Fosters empathy.
Right, less judgment.
Secondly, respect luck and risk. Not all outcomes are purely due to effort. Be humble in success, forgiving in failure. Focus on broad principles.
Acknowledge the randomness.
Third, definitively define enough for yourself. Break free from social comparison. Set clear, unchanging financial goalposts. Hardest skill, but key to satisfaction.
Stop moving those goalposts.
Fourth, relentlessly leverage time with compounding. Embrace the long-term magic. Patience and longevity trump chasing rapid returns. Remember Buffett's secret: time.
Time is your friend.
Fifth, prioritize survival. Getting wealthy involves risk. Keeping wealth requires humility, frugality, paranoia, and a robust margin of safety. Stay in the game.
Survival first.
Sixth, truly see true wealth. Genuine wealth is often invisible, assets not spent, offering options and flexibility, not visible displays of richness.
Wealth is what you don't see.
Seventh, master your savings rate. Your most powerful lever for wealth and independence, gives you control over time and choices.
Control your savings.
Eighth, strive to be reasonable, not just rational. Adopt strategies you can stick with long-term, acknowledging the human and social aspects of money.
Be realistic.
Ninth, expect the unexpected. Plan for surprises. Build ample room for error. History is a guide, not a map.
Plan for things to go wrong.
10th, embrace your evolving self. Your goals will change. Build flexibility into plans. Avoid extreme commitments made by your past self.
Allow yourself to change.
11th, accept hidden costs. Investment returns come with fees like volatility, doubt, regret. Part of the price, not fines.
Pay the fee.
12th, know your game. Identify your time horizon and goals. Don't be swayed by those playing a different game.
Play your own game.
13th, question pessimism's allure. Cultivate pragmatic optimism. Be wary of negative narratives that sound smart but overlook progress.
Don't just focus on the bad news.
14th, be aware of the power of stories. Recognize how narratives shape economic realities and your beliefs, especially when craving control.
Stories matter.
15th, invest in yourself first. Build high-value skills, a controllable, potent way to increase income and security.
Skills pay the bills.
And 16th, cultivate a mindset of a patient investor. Invest and forget once goals are set. Strategically buy on the dip, turning fear into opportunity.
Be patient. Buy that dips. Wow, that's a lot of wisdom packed in there. As we bring this deep dive into Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money to a close, we truly hope you've gained a new, empowering perspective on your relationship with money.
Yeah, hopefully discovered some insights that will profoundly shape your financial journey.
Definitely.
And maybe leave you with a provocative thought. From Housel himself.
Please do.
He said, "More than I want big returns, I want to be financially unbreakable. So consider this. What does being truly financially unbreakable mean for your life, beyond just the numbers?
Financially unbreakable.
How might shifting your focus from chasing the highest returns to building an unshakable financial foundation, one rooted in resilience, control, peace of mind, how might that change your daily decisions and your long-term outlook on wealth?"
That's a powerful reflection, inviting us to redefine success on our own terms. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thank you.
We genuinely encourage you to explore these concepts further and apply them to your own lives, building a more resilient and meaningful financial future. And remember, for more insightful content like this, make sure to check out the Bibliophile Hub YouTube channel. We look forward to diving deep with you again soon.